I'm not an astrologer, but I want to briefly touch on this Steven Forrest circumstance, because while astrology is a field of study and doesn't have to be part of the spiritual community, it is many times grouped in with the spiritual community, which I'm part of and have plenty of problems with myself. But no, absolutely never, ever, ever. And kudos to the astrologers who very quickly jumped up as soon as they did hear about this and say, absolutely not, never ever, never acceptable, never gonna be acceptable, never should have been acceptable. Quick backstory, when I was quite young, I mean like maybe 5 at the oldest, I wanna say, in that range, there was a time where my one grandfather was visiting, who we did not have an incredibly close relationship with, for many reasons, this being one. He was at our house in Pittsburgh, and I remember not knowing what this word meant. But he stood in the middle of the living room and just right out loud with his full chest, I don't even remember what it was he said, but he used the N-word. And it's one of the few times I've seen my mom move that fast. My mom's a boomer, but she's the kind that I keep saying, not all boomers. She was in his face with a finger faster than you could blink your eyes. And she stared up at him many inches taller, and she said, that'll be the last time you ever use that kind of language in this house. You ever use that word again in our presence, and you will never be here again, and you will never see your grandchildren again. Don't test me. And he didn't. And again, I didn't know what that word was. Certainly wasn't anything I had ever heard. And I'm grateful that I have the kind of boomer parents who would stand up to somebody and say, that is absolutely not appropriate, and it is not acceptable, and it is not the way we live our lives. Because while I do understand my YT privilege that I have had the experience of in my existence, I know that there are systemic issues out there that I still have to be aware of and constantly work to deconstruct, just because that is how things are set up in this world, in this country, in this age, still in our year of 2026. And I just wanted it to be really clear that I appreciate the people who are standing up and saying, nope, you're out. And, you know, I've seen some people say that it's incredibly sad that whomever that, I don't even know who it was that he was on, you know, a live podcast or live episode, whatever it was that he was, I guess it was recorded actually, that, you know, a lot of people were saying it's really sad that that was put out the way that it wasn't filtered out, that it wasn't bleeped out, that it wasn't edited out. And I do understand that perspective from the place of the harm that it can cause by being seen and heard in the way that it was. I truly do understand that being the case, but we are also in a period of accountability. And if the people who went ahead and aired that want to show their ass, then we need to know who they are too. So I think that there's a little harm. I know the harm that causes for people to see and hear. I understand, I mean, I don't personally know it. I understand how harmful that probably is. But if people are going to show their ass, let them show their ass, because now we know anyone and everyone who's willing to be a participant in that and not call it out. So in that respect, let's take that tiny grain to know exactly who we're dealing with out there. And in case I haven't made it clear enough, and in case there are new enough people around, I've gotten some newer followers just recently. Fuck this administration. Trans rights are human rights. Everyone has the right to an education. Everyone has the right to healthcare. LGBTQ rights are human rights, women's rights, are human rights. Everybody has the right to bodily autonomy, and fuck ICE.